So, when was the Phil Collins episode? Was that a couple years ago? 2007. Okay, a handful of years ago now, I heard this, episode of This American Life that Starlee was on. That is it okay if I recount this? Are you telling a different story? Okay. It's one of my favorite This American Lives. I just heard the 5 millionth episode or whatever anniversary they had, where they invite all their sort of writers and editors to give it was like a clip show of their favorite clips or whatever, and this one showed up on there or whatever. But Starlee was in a relationship. This will be interesting to see how much I get right. And that they had kind of bonded over this Phil Collins song called Against All Odds, right? The Postal Service later covered that. And then, they sort of bond over the song. It's part of their relationship. They eventually break up. And then she found herself actually saying those lyrics to him as he was breaking up and walking away. And then so I was going through all the emotions of breakup and decided in order to exercise these demons, I'm going to write a breakup song. And she goes through all these emotions of trying to do it, and eventually finds herself talking to Phil Collins on the phone, getting advice on how to write a great breakup song. And then also after she writes it and gets music made for it and stuff and sort of puts it together, has another phone call with him where she plays it back for him, and he's like, that's pretty good, I like this line there. I never would have thought of it that way or whatever. And I was like, this is such a great, I love the small worldness of this, and that we're all pretty interconnected. It was just such a great story anyhow. And then again, years later, I find myself organizing this conference, and I was talking with Heather Peterson, who helps with a lot of the things. She planted the bougainvilleas up there that are those pretty pink flowers by the barn. And she was like, what about Starlee Kine? I was like, why do I know that name? We sort of rekindled it all, and I was like, yes, if you can get her somehow, that'd be great. And sure enough, it's just a matter of asking. So Starlee Kine, everybody.
You got that. It was you did good. I don't think you got anything wrong. The lyric that I quoted was, how can you just walk away? It was very fitting. And then somebody wrote me recently, who I've not written back yet, and I feel very bad about, but because I'm bad with Facebook message replying, but she said she and her boyfriend, her boyfriend and her broken up, and when he was breaking up with her, she found herself quoting my song to that boyfriend, which was great, and she definitely deserves a reply, which I will eventually do. So yeah, I do radio stuff for This American Life. Did anyone else sit on here? I suddenly feel like a lounge singer. No one else sat there, did they? Okay, but nobody was one-legged, just leaning on the piano. Okay, I'm gonna go here. Anyway, so yeah, I do stories for This American Life mainly, and other radio stuff, although not that much other NPR stuff, because it's different. I don't know. We just don't really. It's like oil and water. But I was going to, since I've been here, I was here last May, right? That's when it was. So in that time, during that time too, I'm actually working on a new radio show now, and it's called Mystery Show, and it's about mysteries. Some girl here in there was saying she was making a pirate video game called Pirate Game. Is that girl? Are you here? Anyway, I thought it was very similar. So my show is called Mystery Show. It's about mysteries. And in it, I'm going to attempt to solve people's mysteries. Because I really like the mystery genre a lot. But I love the mystery genre, but what I don't like about mysteries, I'm trying not to use my hands too much, because I read a comment that someone wrote about me that said I reminded them of the character in Fisher King, the girl that he falls for. They're like, if you love that girl, you're going to love watching Starlee talk. And I was just like, that's a very weird comparison. And I got self-conscious. But I'm going to grip this. Do you remember that girl? Lydia? He sings Lydia, oh Lydia. Okay, so I like the mystery genre a lot. But what I don't like, I usually don't like the solutions, even when they're solved. I hate mysteries that are not solved. My number one thing that I do not like about mysteries that I read about is if I read an article that sets up the greatest mystery of all time, And then suddenly they'll just like it, but it was never solved. Isn't that crazy? And it drives me insane. And this happens, if you subscribe to like those kind of long read kind of lists, I guarantee probably once a week there will be an old article that will have that kind of setup, and it will not have an answer. Nothing to do with the lists that you sign up for, not their fault, but there's a lot of this format, and it drives me crazy. And so I don't want to do that, but a lot of times when mysteries are solved, they're also unsatisfying. I find the solutions, like Sherlock Holmes mysteries, often have kind of I like the new Sherlock show a lot, the British one, not the whatever weird American one. But I find a lot of the answer kind of unsatisfying because they're kind of like just forced and wedged in there. So I want mine to be, my show is going to be where people bring me their mysteries to solve. And I'm going to try to, even if I can't solve them, I'm going to try to guarantee something satisfying happens. And so I want the stories to kind of lead into each other, and it's going to have kind of an essay flow. And the rule of the show is going to be to let your curiosity guide you. That's what I will try to have happen. And I'm not going to fall back on not knowing the answer is better than the answer, because we know that's not true and that's a cop-out. But it's going to, if there's something that happens along the way, I will not be like so single-minded on just finding the number one answer that I won't be able to follow it. An example of this was one of the mysteries in the first episode I made was I have a friend who went to go return she was living in New York, and she rented a video, and she was kind of like, I think she was probably like in breakup mode, and so it was a rom-com, so she remembers very clearly that it was Must Love Dogs. That was what the movie was. And so she knew she was in a very particular state of mind because she rented that. And she went to the video store on a Saturday, and she filled out a membership card because she'd never been to that store. So she had to register for a membership card, signed up, rented the movie, and then knew she returned it the next day because she's one of those people who does that. I don't do that, but she's one of those, so she's better than I am, is what I'm saying. Anyway, so she returned it. So she went to go return it the next day on Sunday. Must Love Dogs, and the store was completely boarded up and out of business, and she was really confused because they had let her sign up for a membership card and welcomed her and not said, you might as well keep this pen and this video and like your money because we're never going to see you again. And so she was super confused, and that happened years ago, so she told me to go find what happened to that store. And I did end up finding what happened to that store. Like, I found the owner. I went around Tribeca, and I went to all these places, and I asked around. That was not a buzzer. Am I out of time? Okay. Anyway. Okay. So I went to go find it, and I found the owner, and it was fine, but it wasn't that exciting, the answer. But along the way, I also found this man who was in a bar, and he remembered a different video store that had burned down, and he had this whole story about, I asked him his favorite movie, and he talked about Fellini's La Strada, and then he talked about his lost love and how he regretted it, and it's very touching, and then it goes into a Fellini thing. And so that's kind of an example of how the show will go. And it's going to be on WBUR in Boston, but I'm also going to probably try like other new forms of radio, I don't know, what? Internet-y things, which internet makes me so sleepy. You don't understand, but like, but I'll probably do that. So yeah, listen up.
Thank you.